I did not know I was listening to that song right now. Anyway, sorry. I have my Taylor music going. Okay, one sentence hook. How would you describe this memoir in one sentence? Again, I have my sheet, and we've kind of learned in the last two videos that what this number one means is I describe the book as a song. So number one, my first book was Matilda by Harry Styles. Second book, I described it as Soon You'll Get Better by Taylor Swift. And this third book, I would describe it I don't know. I'll write it in the comments what I think about it. But I would describe this book in one sentence as taking care of others. The author, Regina Calcaterra, she really knew how to take care of others, even if it was at the expense of her own comfort and life. She learned it from her two older sisters and her family there, and her siblings, and how they all took care of each other, and how they all felt that burden so deeply. And so much so that she wrote a book with her youngest sister, who needed a lot of forgiveness and healing there, from Regina due to things that she suffered. Yeah. So she definitely took care of others. Number two, who is this about? Again, all of these books are by the authors, about the authors. It's mostly about her childhood, and then we go into her career. And it's really, again, just like Educated, it's autobiographical up until the point of the writing of the book, and then even after. And it talks about her childhood growing up homeless with her drug. No, sorry, that was a movie I watched. Well, Cookie was kind of a drug. She was just abusive. She was just all around, just everything bad you could get into, she was into. And mostly it was the physical violence, the not really caring about the children at all, and the blatant abuse just that they suffered. Her career is really beautiful, that she gives back to the children that were her siblings, that were the homeless foster children, who don't have the future or the hope that some other more privileged children have. And that's such a beautiful full circle moment, that she gets to take care of the people in the environment, atmosphere and area that she grew up in, here in New York. And then her trauma, she had a lot of trauma growing up, going hungry, growing up poor, homeless again, and then the abuse, the physical abuse. She details being tied up in a closet and hanging from the ceiling by her wrists, I think is how it was. Anyway, she was tied up in a closet. No child should be tied up that way without food. And after being slammed against a wall and, in glass, her face being slammed into glass on the floor too, and just being kicked by her mother, which is just horrible things. So very graphic. Not too graphic. I guess I shouldn't say very graphic, but a little bit of graphic. Why did it stick with me? A moment or theme. So again, for number 3, as we've established in the first 2 videos, I find a part of the book and I read it for what stuck out to me. You know what? Actually, instead of reading a portion of the book, I'm going to tell you about a portion of the book that really stuck out to me reading it for the first time, which was the Table of Contents. Hear me out. Okay, so the first few chapters or so, we start. So by chapter 3, it says, and then there were 3. So altogether, there's Rosie, the youngest, Normie, do they call him Normie? Well, there's Rosie, Norman, Regina, and then Sherry's the oldest. Who's the third one? Wait, it's in here. The book is called Etched in Sand, by the way, by Regina Calcaterra. Okay, Sherry is the oldest, then Camille, that's the one I was thinking of, Regina, Norman, and then Rosie. So there's 5 of them all together. And in the table of contents, we start out with just chapter titles, but then we go into chapter 3 when it's just down to Regina, Rosie, and Norm. And it's called, and then there were 3. Sorry, that was kind of repetitive. I just keep forgetting, what the heck? Yeah, Norman, okay. Sorry. So after that, then, oh, no, it's not the table of contents because the chapters have different titles. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've read this book. But it's the way that the chapters end, not how they start or how they're titled. So the end of chapter 1, it starts with, and just like that, she's gone. And that's in talking about their mother who would leave them at a, home that they were renting out or just like barely renting out. And she leaves them there and she goes to bars and sleeps around at motels. And so that was that context. So they're all really in different contexts, but they're all about people leaving. So this first chapter is, and just like that, she's gone. The second chapter ends, then she's gone too. These are all the last sentences of the books, or of the chapters. So then she's gone too. Then chapter 3, and then there were 3. The last sentence of this book, I keep saying book, of this chapter is, okay, it doesn't say anything about being gone, but the first sentence on that page is, I walk into a quiet house. And just, actually, I'll read the whole paragraph on this last page right here. I walk into a quiet house. One of the kids has cleaned up the glass, and they're both sleeping toe-to-toe on the couch. My heart swells as I kiss their cheeks goodnight and whisper in Norman's ear, "You're a good big brother." I rise and stand there watching them. Then the tears stream down my face. Not for myself, but for how powerless we are over what will happen next. After a minute, I secure the front and back doors and head to the bathroom to try and soak away my pain. And then chapter 4. Ends. I nod my head, but I'm still lost. The only time... I'm not going to read that sentence because it's not very appropriate, but that's the first sentence of the last paragraph on the last page of this chapter. It's, I nod my head, but I'm still lost. Just that kind of confusion of a child. It was not appropriate to say on camera. But you get the basic idea of what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, I kind of got lost there. And then number 4, emotional impact. How did this memoir make me feel? It made me feel the same way in Educated, that you can live despite your beginnings. But not only despite them, you can live against them and for them in a way. Like she takes her law school, her education, and she puts it towards the people that were just like her. And that made me feel really empowered to give back to my community. And then what makes it different? I think what makes it different is that she ends the book with a sort of resolve that the other books really didn't end with, the other 3 that I have. She ends it with having her family around her, and again, like the Matilda thing, except she has that forgiveness there. Or she has that finality and forgiving the system and forgiving how she grew up. Not necessarily her mother, but her mother is dead by the time the book is over, and is written. Whereas in Educated, it's her family is very much still alive, so it's harder to kind of have a finality and closure there. Who should read it? 16 plus. All of these books are 16 plus, so I'm going to get rid of 6 and 7. 7 is rating because all of these are 5 stars. Yeah. People going through who were ever in foster homes or grew up homeless or have any idea of living with having to live off of food stamps and shoplifting, anybody like that who grew up that way, I think should read this book. Bye.